longer than a bus, seen from helicopters. That's how the rumor started. A grainy aerial image, a winding shape stretched across a clearing somewhere in Central Africa. No scale reference, no verified coordinates, just a massive serpentine shadow cutting through jungle green. Within days, the image spread across the internet with one terrifying claim. Africa is hiding a snake so large it dwarfs anything ever recorded. And here's the part that makes this different from typical monster rumors. Parts of Central Africa remain barely explored, especially within the endless canopy of the Congo Basin. And before you decide this is just another internet hoax, wait until you hear what helicopter crews have quietly reported for years. Because the viral image wasn't the first sighting. Long before social media, pilots flying low over dense jungle claimed they occasionally spotted enormous serpentine shapes slipping between trees, too long to be a fallen trunk, too fluid to be a shadow. One former contractor described seeing a body thicker than an oil drum, moving with deliberate speed towards swamp water. He refused to go on record. And that silence, that's where horror begins. But to understand the fear, you need to understand Africa's real snakes. Africa already houses massive serpents. The African rock python can exceed 20 feet, powerful enough to crush antelope, silent enough to ambush crocodiles. 20 feet is terrifying, but eyewitnesses describe something 3 times that length. Biologically, that sounds impossible, but fossils tell a different story, because Earth once carried snakes that defy imagination. Meet Titanoboa, a prehistoric serpent estimated to reach over 40 feet long. It lived millions of years ago in swamp ecosystems, warm climates, dense vegetation, slow rivers. Sound familiar? Now here's where logic splits. Titanoboa went extinct, but the environment it thrived in still exists. And some locals say the giant never truly disappeared. Communities in remote regions tell stories of a serpent spirit that slides like a river within the river. Descriptions vary, but certain details remain consistent. Immense length, dark scaled body, and the ability to vanish beneath shallow water without a ripple. They don't describe it as common. They describe it as rare, ancient, avoided. But folklore becomes frightening when bodies disappear. In scattered rural reports, livestock have vanished near swamp boundaries. Of course, predators are common. Leopards, crocodiles, hyenas. But in a few isolated claims, the ground near watering holes showed enormous drag marks wide, sweeping impressions cutting from grass into water. No claw prints, no bite evidence, just something heavy, pulled. And then came the satellite anomaly. Years after the original viral helicopter rumor, independent researchers scanning satellite maps pointed out a strange linear formation deep within jungle canopy. It appeared and disappeared between seasonal images, likely a fallen tree, almost certainly vegetation. But the unsettling detail, it changed positions slightly between captures. And if that's natural shadow movement, why did its width remain consistent? But science pushes back hard. Modern reptiles rely on environmental temperature for survival. Scaling a snake beyond known sizes would require enormous prey availability and stable heat conditions. Energy demands would be extreme. A breeding population, nearly impossible to hide. Yet here's the uncomfortable truth. The Congo Basin spans over 1 million square miles. There are regions no biologist has surveyed on foot, not once, and apex predators leave signs, even when unseen. In ecosystems, balance reveals presence. If a giant predator existed, prey populations would shift. Carcass remains would surface. Scavenger patterns would change. So far, no verified ecological anomalies suggest a 60-foot snake. But isolated anomalies? Yes. Sudden hippo disappearances in remote flood zones. Unusual carcass compression reported by hunters, unverified, unpublished, unsettling. Which brings us to the darkest possibility. What if the legend isn't about a surviving Titanoboa? What if it's about scale distortion in one of the most visually deceptive environments on Earth? Dense canopy compresses perspective. Shadows stretch unpredictably, rivers curve in ways that trick the eye from above. Or what if somewhere beneath that canopy, in a swamp untouched for centuries, something massive still coils in silence, longer than a bus, seen from helicopters, never confirmed, never disproven, and until someone maps every shadow in the Congo Basin, the serpent remains. So here's the question. If a new aerial image surfaced tomorrow, clearer than ever before, would you believe it, or would you hope it's fake? Because some legends are terrifying, but proving them real would be worse.